introductions. I'll begin with Juhi Desai ma'am. She is team lead in imaging research at InMed Prognostics, and she has obtained her master's degree in medical imaging from Symbiosis Institute of Health Sciences. Next up, we have Sharayu Rane ma'am. She's working as a data science consultant at ZS, and she has over 8 years of industrial experience. She completed an advanced analytics learning program from International School of Engineering. Next, we have Mayura Madane ma'am. She's working as technology manager in Center for Intelligent Power team at Eaton, Pune. She completed her MS in embedded systems from BITS Pilani, and she's also published a paper on memory and speed optimization techniques in embedded C, and has 5 patents on different topics. Hema Mehta ma'am is up next. She's working as a senior software engineer for AI ML implementation at iCertis Pune. She completed her MTech from she completed her MTech in AI from University of Hyderabad and published a paper, a scalable corticobasal ganglia model to understand the neural dynamics of targeted teaching. Next up, we have Shivani Kapu ma'am, working as a consultant and data scientist at IBM Gurgaon. She has over 15 plus years of industrial experience, and she studied at IIM Bangalore. She achieved multiple awards for various projects at various companies in her career. Next up, we have Dr. Shruti Mantri, who's working as Associate Director at Indian School of Business, Mumbai. She has 15 plus years of teaching experience in CS with diverse topics. She did her PhD in CS from Mumbai University. Next up, we have Toshika Chauhan, ma'am. She's working as engineering and QA manager and has over 8 plus years of industrial experience. She did her MTech in CS from BITS Pilani. And last up, we have Gayatri, ma'am. She's working as a machine learning engineer at Synergip, and she's completed her MTech in CS from Rajaram Bapu Institute of Technology. So I hope I have made a just introduction in as quick of time as I could. So let's begin with the session. All right. So I'd like Aparna ma'am to now take over, and I'll just invite her to the stage. Thank you all.
Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So very good evening all, and let me all wish you a very happy Women's Day. Let us begin this panel discussion
only one?
by having the very first and foremost important question today. That is, what does the International Women's Day mean to you? So quickly, you can share your thought about what does International Women's Day mean to you. So shall we start with Hima?
Yes. Hey, hi everyone. First, I wish everybody happy International Women's Day. Uh, Wish you all of you congratulations for performing. A lot of roles in every lot of people's life. So for me, being a daughter and wife and in professional, career, being a friend and colleague, I think. I feel so good that I get a lot of wishes today, and also as part of WITS Pune, we are conducting this panel discussion. So it really means a lot to me, and it really gives me a lot of happiness.
Yeah, Gayatri, quickly, if you can share in one line your thought about it.
Yeah, actually, first of all, happy Women's Day to all of you. And as we seen in Indian history, actually, the women are facing too much struggle for learning and for getting outside the careers. But for now, means nowadays the women are everywhere. So this is the cheers for the struggle, and not for now, but we can cheers for every day. So happy Women's Day to all.
Toshika, would
Very
you like
happy
to
Women's
say?
Day.
Yes, happy Women's Day to all of you and to everybody who has joined this discussion. I would just like to mention that congratulations to all those women who've been able to break the glass ceilings and excel in whatever careers they're working in. And cheers to all of you. And may you grow even better. And may we be able to provide the kind of environment that we should for all the ladies out there to even to have the same level of success as everybody else. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you. I think we can quickly start with the actual formal questions, and I'd like to go with the first question, which is technical. That you all are from different fields with diverse kind of expertise and experience levels. So, what might be the global demand in data science in next 3 to 5 years, as per your experience and expertise? What you would like to suggest in this?
Hi, Aparna. Thank you for the question, which is there.
Toshika, would you like to start with this?
So I'd like to quote some stats from the US, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects, that says that 16% increase, there has been a 16% increase in demand for computers and information research scientists by 2028, and an overall increase of 27% around for operations research analysts. So for decades, companies have been accumulating a lot of data on their products, services, customers, and now they need something to get from that data. So certainly there will be a lot of jobs that will be coming up in the next 3 to 5 years. I'd also like to point out that there will be more focus on the new age APIs and applications that the companies are building to implement data science. So there are a lot of APIs that are coming up, and they're easy to use and implement. And with the rising popularity of the field, there might be various contenders for the job, and sometimes more supply creates demands, which will help the real data science heroines and also heroes. And DS is no more about just about writing Python or R scripts. It is more of a specialty that requires experience and intuitions. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, the demand is going to surge.
Yeah. Shivani, you come from IBM and you have a good experience in this field. What are your thoughts about the global demand in DS in coming 3 to 5 years?
Absolutely. So, we, as rightly pointed out by Toshika, we would see DS and AI making a difference in each and every aspect of our life. To give you an example at IBM, I mean, it goes to the grassroots level. Like, for example, if we face a problem with our laptop, there is a chatbot, which answers the questions. And if we have any HR problem, we talk to the computer bot before we talk to the human person, human HR who help us solve the problem. And even for making the pay decisions or making career moves or getting a career advice, we basically see AI everywhere. So I'm sure even at the industry level, we would be seeing AI. Definitely, there's going to be a certain
Yeah. Mayura, would you like to share thoughts about this?
Sure. Yeah. So I would like to back this up, whatever the information that is given by Doshika as well as Shivani, right? That with the digital transformation that is coming on our way, right? Many organizations are setting up their own digital organizations or verticals, you can say, as well as IoT. With this, definitely there are products in the field which are generating lot of data, and I can give an example from engineering domain, right, where our company works in different.
I think there might be some technical issue from her side and we lost her voice, but let us take the discussion forward. And I'd like to ask Sharayu her experience, her thoughts about upcoming demands in data science field in next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, sure. So I think as Toshika and the other people also pointed out, that there is definitely going to be a more and more demand for these kind of roles. In fact, at ZS as well, we are planning to expand our data science team, which is currently a team of around 200 folks, to doubling it in the current 1 year. So from the industry standpoint as well, we are seeing a lot of demand. That needs to be fulfilled through the new aspirants that are coming into this field. Yeah.
That's, I think, really good to know that the demand would keep on increasing, and there would be more and more beautiful chances for the candidates who are either studying or who are at their early career levels, as well as for the candidates who are in mid-career levels. So it's really good to know. Based upon this, my next question is about India specific. That we see that in India, demand in data science related careers is diversified, obviously, like global trends. Like there are careers in data engineering, data science, then natural language processing related to computer vision and image processing, deep learning, and so on. So what type of hiring sectors are there, particularly from your expertise and your domain? And what might be the trends in coming 3 years in particular domains where you work?
So definitely, if you see, like, just like the global trends, India alone will be able to, I think, add around 500,000 new jobs for data scientists, and with another million expected, and I'm sure this is going to grow even further. If you look at the breakup of the cities, there are a few researchers which say that AI is mostly at a boom in Bengaluru, Delhi, and Chennai. And if we look at data science, it is more from Bengaluru, Delhi, and Mumbai. So currently, 15 to 20% of fresh hires are deployed in emerging technology job roles, and it might go up to 40 to 50% in the coming 4 to 5 years. And around 10% candidates of the total good hire are trained in emerging technologies like AI and machine learning, as we've seen from the current freshers that we hire. And the companies have also started investing in post-hiring learning development of fresh recruits in the emerging technologies. And as per one of our researches, we've seen that the programming ability levels, for if I compare it with other countries, for India, so there were about 4.7% of the people who could write functionally and logically correct code in India, whereas as opposed to those in USA, which was a whooping 18%. So there's a gap over there. And then there were around 37% were not able to write compatible code as compared to US, which was 4%. So there is a gap when we compare it with the other countries, but definitely we are catching up soon.
Yeah. Juhi, you come from MAID Prognostics, and this is really a very upcoming area which needs interdisciplinary skill set as well as expertise. So, what are your thoughts about demand in India in various sectors of data science, as well as what might be the trends and patterns related to cities, as we discussed earlier, and the trends in next coming few years?
Yeah, so I think healthcare, especially in India, is going to completely change its functionality. Where, especially with COVID that hit us last year, I think even at a government level, they have realized how much technology can actually make a difference in such pandemic situations. And over the last 5 years that I've been working in healthcare industry using, and bringing the AI part in that. Over the years, every year we see a very, stark increase in the number of companies that are coming up. Just in applications of AI in healthcare, they range from applications to radiology, to neurology, to cardiac surgeries. A simple thing as patient management, right? Which was, I think, one of the biggest, which is successful product that came out in COVID. So, just looking at the market size that they are predicting, they're almost, it's expected to go by almost 45% in the next 2 to 3 years, just in healthcare. So, especially in terms of healthcare, I think the demand for people who can understand the AI is going to be more important. And I totally agree with Toshika. I think the skills required here are more about how well can you understand the output that's desired and code it up accordingly. Because I think that's the major requirement when it comes to healthcare is the accuracy and the sensitivity and specificity that comes out of your algorithm has to be accepted by the the physicians, the doctors. Otherwise, it's never going to hit the market and it's never going to see the light of the day. So I think from our sector, it's going to be one of the biggest demanding sectors.
That's true. That's true. Shruti, you come from ISB and you have a lot of experience in this field. Would you like to share some thoughts about considering all these coming trends and various kinds of sectors which would be needing data science people more and more in coming few years? So you come from ISB, and we would like to know your thoughts about what might be the trends for interdisciplinary education as well as domain expertise going in blend with data science related topics. So what would you like to share your thoughts?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this eminent panel today. And on behalf of the Indian School of Business, I'm not
able to hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you.
So yes, Shruti, we can hear you.
Yeah. So on behalf of Indian School of Business and myself, I welcome each one of, say Happy Women's Day to all of you all. According to the Analytics Insight report, the data-related firm post 2020 are anticipated to be around 1.5 lakh new openings. And this statistics has also been supported by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, which has said that the demand for the data science skills will drive 27.9% rise in the employment in the field through 2026. Now, the important question here is, though there are a lot of opportunities available, but still there is a lot of skill gap. And how should we fill up the skill gap? What we have seen is, there under the data science term, there are multiple different openings which are there. Like for people think data scientist, data analyst, machine learning engineering, etc. But there is also a new thing which is coming up that is called as a business translator. And business translators are neither data architects nor they are data engineers, but they play a critical role in bridging the technical expertise of data engineers and data scientists with the operational expertise of marketing, supply chain, manufacturing, risk, and other frontline managers. And according to a McKinsey report, by 2026, there is going to be a massive demand for translators, not only in US, but also in India. And it is expected to reach around 4 million. considering this, I feel the requirement today for data science and analytics is rather multidisciplinary, and they all require an ability to link analytics to creating value for their organization. So candidates or aspirants who want to make today a career in the domain of data science needs to have skills wherein they can demonstrate problem solving, using algorithms, developing models, but at the same time, they should be able to apply it to address business problems that will facilitate business decisions. So that's where the gap is, and that's where I think the aspirants needs to work towards.
Yeah, that's true. That brings me to the next question, which is actually by one of the attendees, that what are the minimum entry skills or certification to get data science or AI related jobs for early career seekers? And along with that, would certification be simply enough, and what kind of domain knowledge would be important? Might be the second level of this question. So yeah, can we have your views about it? We can start with Shivani from IBM.
Sure. Thank you. So I think the skills needed for getting an entry in data science would not be a certification in my view. What is more important is that you get to the basics and fundamentals. So I mean, when we talk of AI and machine learning, data science, it has a lot of aspects. I mean, there could be structured analysis, there could be unstructured analysis, there could be chatbot building, there could be extractions out of unstructured content. There's a plethora of things you could do today under the AI and machine learning umbrella. So what's important is that you choose one line out of all this, which basically interests you, and then you start exploring that line in depth. Try and understand the mathematics behind the algorithms. Try and get to the basics or fundamentals. Say if you're choosing data science, get to the basic statistics. Try and understand why something is this way, and not just use a Skykit package and just use the options which are given, googling some options and getting the parameters which you're feeding into the functions, doing some trial and error. That would not help you. I feel what will help you is just get to the basics of one particular thing, and that will give you an insight of how exactly you can approach a problem, and then you can use this and expand your knowledge base and see if this interests you, or maybe you want to switch your line to NLP. In NLP also you could start from basics and then build up it. My take would be that focus on basics, and if you can convince your in an interview, if you could just show that one thing which you've done properly, I'm pretty sure that the person who's going to hire you would be convinced that you actually go to depth and you have the ability to understand the basics, and you can pick up another algorithm or another problem which is being given to you to solve.
Thank you. Mayura, would you like to share your thoughts about it, as well as you can also talk about for the early career seekers, what type of opportunities they can have to prove that yes, they have some capabilities in this section, as well as they have this willingness to learn and take up new challenges. So would you like to share your thoughts about it? Mayura, are you able to hear me?
Hey, sorry, I just rejoined. Can you please repeat? What was it?
I think there might be some issue with Mayura's network or so, but no problem. We can get views from Shruti, who comes from Indian School of Business. So she can definitely share her views about what might be the challenges that early career seekers should be facing in proving their abilities, as well as what might be the good skill sets they can start their careers with.
Thank you, Aparna, for posing that particular question, which is there. And
your voice is not reaching properly to us.
Am I audible now?
Yes. Yes, you were audible for a second.
Am I audible, Aparna, now? Aparna, am I audible? Yeah, thank you, Aparna, for that particular question. At an entry level, for a new person who wants to venture in this particular field, what the projects which can be real projects from the company, and to work on real projects, the a particular aspirant I feel should take up internships, let work on business problems, come up with models and solutions, and that's how they can then prove that yes, they have that capacity and capability to venture or start out as a data scientist or a data analyst. So it's very important for them before approaching any organization that they do enough of work on projects. That's what I personally feel.
That's very correct. That's very correct and a very useful suggestion. That brings me to my next point is importance of continuous learning in data science related careers. Because as we know, data science is a huge umbrella and there are various topics, various concepts which are covered under data science, and applications of data science into various careers may require different kinds of skills. So I'd like to know thoughts from all of you about importance of continuous learning in your domains. So we can start with Hima. Would you like to share your thoughts about it?
Yes, definitely. So I think, yeah, I think continuous learning is very important, because if you see, in data science and machine learning, you will see that every day, some or the other packages are getting launched. Some of the other libraries in, different programming language would get launched. But you see the behind, as Shivani said earlier, that the basic would not change. So what I would suggest in that case is that you keep learning. Just make your basic strong and just use the platforms, different platforms to practice your machine learning problems. Also, what I would recommend is that you take different use cases and also apply, whatever you have learned to those use cases, and that way I think you will get very hands-on training on data science and machine learning problems. Also, it is also a good idea that you pick up a domain, and for example, if you are interested in time series analysis, so the data set for time series analysis would be totally different from the problem you are solving in NLP, right? So I would suggest to pick up your domain and start practicing a lot of use cases. Try to scale your models at your end and see how it works. And that way, in every aspect, you will become an expert. And I think that will be also very helpful to get a job in any industry and any domain that you are interested in.
Yeah. Toshika, would you like to suggest or add to this?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
Yeah. Toshika, would you like to add to this about importance of continuous learning in data science
Some
related?
disturbance in the call. I'm not sure. Can you give me a second?
Should I ask the question again? We would like to know your thoughts about importance of continuous learning for those who are in the field of data science, or who are willing to enter the career of data science.
I can hear you now. Yeah, I heard the question. So definitely continuous learning would be important in any role that you're doing. So with the new APIs and applications that the big companies are launching, so if you look at the most of the technology related companies are using the existing APIs and applications. So definitely you need to keep learning them And also, this is a very big field. It's not just about knowing the algorithms, knowing the math. There is a lot of things around it. So if you are even working on a certain domain in this, suppose you are a business analyst, so you can try and learn the other steps also. This will help you with the current things that you're doing, since you would know that what all will go before or after this. So it will really help you with the current task that you're working on. So definitely there's a lot to learn here.
When we talk about continuous learning or lifelong learning in my field, as we call LLL, so considering this point, Sharayu and Gayatri, would you like to share your thoughts about importance of doing internship, and those who are aspiring candidates, what kind of internships they should look for to begin their career or to launch their career? Gayatri, would you like to go first?
Yeah, actually, as I can say that I started my career as a machine learning engineer. But before that, means there are some people they have dream as a machine learning engineer, but they are afraid for starting. So actually, as per my thought, they have some mentality about doing the internship, whatever it is, paid or unpaid, no matter. But for the experience, uh, means they should create their future as a data scientist. So they should means try first of all try first of all some internship, and in my way, actually after my degree, I completed one project in IoT. After that, I selected for the Sofia University Europe, and I went there for 3 months. And after that, I have the interest in data science. So for that, I did 1 year internship in DRDO, India. And by getting this internship, means I had too many learnings in data science. After that, I also work on one thesis which is designed by the Stanford University. And from this experience, I get the job as a machine learning engineer in my current company. So this is my entry point. So before that, means you directly can't jump as a data scientist in a market. You should do some internship or some courses, or you can start your own project, whatever it is, means from your hobby you can start. And this is not really need that for the beginning level. You should implement some API, or you can design some algorithm, but at least you should learn how we can use this algorithm and APIs in programming. So that's the basic thing you need for starting the data scientist career. And as per my aspect, means there are different levels. For example, there are some banking companies, they are looking for shell scripting while they are looking for data scientists, and my company is looking for automation. Like we are involving some problem there, really need some automation. So for that, for the hiring purpose, we are looking for the candidate should be good in statistic, in analysis the data as per the AWS cloud for the deployment. So these are the some basic level points you should learn as a start the career in data science. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Gayatri. It was good to know your journey. And as you said correctly, that to have a good internship gives every candidate a feel of actually working professionally with some live or near to live data set, as well as they can practice with senior data scientists and learn a lot from them. And then they can launch their actual careers with various kinds of companies or institutes. Sharayu, would you like to share something about this, the importance of internships, as well as how to find different internships in the field of data science?
Sure. So I think as one of us had also pointed out that a certification course and all is definitely a good starting point for somebody to begin their journey in this industry of data science. But apart from that, I think working on real projects, trying to get some exposure on real problems is definitely essential. So I understand that getting a official internship and might not be a feasible option for everyone, right? Given the curriculum might not have that provision while they're doing their BTech and so on, but I think there are a lot of online platforms like Kaggle and so on, where you can demonstrate and you can whatever you have learned, you can actually put that into practice. So I think definitely I would encourage aspirants in this who want to get started in this data science domain, that try your hands on different competitions. A lot of them are you can freely register. There are a lot of data sets that are available online where you can start doing hands-on things. So I think though an official internship might not be a feasible option, but yeah, nowadays there are lot of data sets online available. Kaggle is one very good website that you can explore and put your learnings into practice immediately.
That was very helpful. I'd like to ask Juhi about importance of internships, as well as not only internship platforms but the other professional social media platforms like LinkedIn and various others. Would you like to share your thoughts, Juhi?
Absolutely. So when we started this whole program around a couple of years back, around 5 years is what we're doing this, and initially we did wanted to go for somebody who was experienced, but we soon realized that healthcare is something that was still very new in India, where we were looking at applications of AI. So pretty soon, what we started was an internship program, which is actually still running, very close with COEP, where we take freshers who are just looking for an internship for 6 months. The data, it starts from data prep right up to building an algorithm which can do the processing on the images. So for us, internship kind of became a way to attract fresh talents, and we can train them in the sector that we need, which many a times with somebody who is absolutely senior might be difficult to catch on. So I think for us, it has become like a norm where we normally take only interns at the C as well. I have one engineer who comes from none of the coding background, doesn't have a degree in engineering, but actually comes from a little bit of clinical side, and is currently the guy who actually works on the data.
That students or early career researchers as well as professionals always seek for good courses or good books online, which they can use to reskill and upskill and enhance their skill set. So would you like to share something about it?
Okay, so I think right now the students, I feel they are very fortunate that they are in this era where they have so many options to explore and read from. So if we look like 10 years back when we were students, or 15 years back when we started our careers, we really had to stick to the hardbound books which we had to buy to basically uh, get a hang of a new topic. So today we have lots of these open online courses which are offered by Coursera, Udemy. There are plenty of professors who have their channels on YouTube. So you could just follow one professor and follow on, a particular topic, and just keep following the lectures of that one particular professor to keep the continuity. Or you could go to any of these websites, IBM for Watson and IBM Learning for different concepts. Or you could go for the Google Cloud platform. They also start from basics of machine learning and they teach you the advanced concepts. Even AWS has a very good content on learning. So you could choose out of, any of these options. I think you're really fortunate to be in this era where you have so much of content online. you can just, sky's the limit, if you have the appetite for it. And there are
Yeah.
so many open data sets which you could use to implement and, put that learning into practice. And my favorite data set is data.gov. This is a, US-based data set where you have 194,000 data sets. So you can just experiment. Whatever you learn, you will definitely find a data set there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the students are really fortunate now. They have all kinds of these kinds of courses as well as resources, and boards like Kaggle and other platforms where they can utilize freely available and curated data sets as well as algorithms and different kinds of code pieces which they can try their hands on. That brings me to my next question, and I see there are many questions which are being posted by the attendees. There are various kinds of sites and platforms, but I get mind boggled, that where should I begin with? If I'm in the last year of my engineering or graduation, then I get annoyed by various kinds of resources. So how should I begin? And what might be my time frame that in 6 months I should reach up to such and such level? So would you like to suggest something about this?
So, as rightly pointed out by you, yes, there is a problem of plenty, that you have lots of resources and it's very overwhelming at times. But what I would suggest is that you select one. Say if you are selecting Udemy, do all the courses only from Udemy. Or say if you are choosing courses from an IBM platform or Amazon platform or Microsoft platform or Google platform, just keep your continuity and follow the courses, put on one. Do not switch from one platform to the other. That would create confusion because everybody's style of teaching or flow of thought would be different. So I think if you just follow one platform, and I would suggest that follow one, start with a basic step, go in depth, choose one thing, choose classification, choose whatever interests you in the beginning. Just choose one and go in depth, understand the mathematics behind it, and then go to the next step. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's great. Shruti, would it be possible for you to mute your mic for some time? I think there was some noise issue. The same question I would like to ask to Mayura to share her thoughts about when students want to start their career, then what kind of courses and other resources would you like to suggest to them? Mayura, are you able to hear me? I think Mayura might be facing some technical issue, so no problem. We can move to next question, and I see there are many questions coming from the audience as well. That what kind of basics that we need to start with data, to start as a data scientist. I can blend this question with some other question that many of the attendees come from engineering background, technical background. Some of them come from MSc and some of them are already in their profession. So sometimes it is really confusing to what to call as data engineering and to what to call as data science. So I may ask Sharayu to share her thoughts about this.
Sure. Yeah, I think as you mentioned, there is definitely some confusion and blurred boundaries between the roles of data engineer versus data scientist versus, now what we're calling is as full stack machine learning engineer, right? So I would, in my experience, I would like to put it this way, that a data scientist would be a person who is particularly owning all the algorithmic side of mod. But as we move on to as we move on to deploying the algorithms built in real time, or in actual scenarios where the algorithms are refreshed at some fixed frequency, then you definitely need the data to flow in at that frequency. You need the data to be cleaned up, and so on. So I think that is where the data engineer role would fall in, where the role of a data engineer would be to ensure that the data from the original source is flowing in at the right frequency, with the right quality checks done on it, right? And then would be the role of a data scientist, who will actually be responsible for running any models on the same, right? But nowadays we are seeing a lot of value in one person knowing some bit of data engineering, some bit of data science, and so on, because in small teams it becomes very difficult to have very clear roles defined. So having some overlapping knowledge for a data scientist to know about data engineering, to know about the final production deployment architecture and so on, I think that is definitely a add-on, I would say.
Yeah, that was really great. Then there are the people who are already into domain, and they are not at the just graduation level, but some of them are already like at master's level or at a doctoral or postdoctoral level. And so they can be definitely called as experts from their domains. If some of them would like to enter their domain as data scientists and domain experts for that domain, then how should they enter? Some of these questions particularly come from health sciences and life sciences domain. So I think Juhi again might be a right person to ask, as she come from health sciences and life sciences domain, that if someone is having postdoctoral level, then how she or he can enter the domain as a domain expert for data science in that domain.
Sure. So, see, a person who is going to be at a PhD level, they would have, kind of picked a lane. Even in life sciences, they would have to choose a particular, field in which they would have then done their thesis on and got their PhD. So, the best way to enter back into the market would be to find the companies who actually work in this. There are different companies who works in different sectors of healthcare. Now, the one I work in, it's majorly radiology and neurosciences. Here, the major giants I would say are three major giants like GE, Siemens, and Philips. Now, all three of them, if you just Google, if you go to LinkedIn on their page, I think each of them are looking for at least 5 to 10 data scientists who comes from a healthcare background or has a PhD done in similar place. Even if you don't look at those giants and if you look at startups like us, we will always be looking for people who have that kind of domain expert, because that kind of speeds up the process from our side of training that new fresher who would now be coming with that domain expert. So I think it's just, you will have to narrow down the area that you want to work in and look for a company which does products in that or does AI work in that space. Because otherwise, healthcare, life sciences is a huge domain.
Yeah, that's true. And as initially we discussed, that health sciences would be one of the very important fields in upcoming years, which would need interdisciplinary skills and interdisciplinary skill sets. So I'd like to ask next question to Shruti and Toshika, who come from professional education fields, that many of our attendees have asked that I'm completing masters into particular area. Some of them might be doing MTech in say mechanical engineering, some might be doing in civil engineering, and some of them are doing a masters in computer engineering as well. So these people come from different domains. So what kind of skill sets they should acquire if they want to enter data science related careers?
So if they want to enter the data science related career, the first basic things they really need to know and have is they should be good at statistics, they should be good at linear algebra, they need to make sure that they brush up or they gain good knowledge of optimization. If a person is from a mechanical background and he doesn't have exposure to programming, it's very important that he knows the basics of programming languages. He is good in Python, so he can learn Python, he can learn R. So these are the basis of which once he is able to gain this knowledge, then he can go to the next step of understanding what is big data, different applications of maybe big data, and then move on to machine learning, which is there. So I think let him first gain the basics which are needed, make the basics strong, and then move on to the next step.
Yeah. Toshika, you also come from professional education domain. Would you like to share your thoughts about this?
I totally agree with Dr. Shruti. So definitely the basic, the core skills, if you go into this job role, would remain the same from whichever background you come from. Definitely, there would be an advantage if he goes into the domain skills that he has. So if he tries to go into that industry, then it will be really helpful for that person from mechanical background. But yeah, he can certainly study the basics of programming, Python to start with, and then also get hold of the new technologies that are coming, and maybe some the database skills like SQL would be helpful to start with, because that is easy to grasp and easy to implement. And if people learn data analysis, then these skills can also help. And obviously, at the end, if you're going into your domain, then that would be really helpful.
That's true. That's true.
Aparna, I would like to just add here, because
sure,
any students who are interested making their careers in the domain of data science or business analyst, they can also explore the opportunity of assisting a faculty from renowned universities in India, whether it is IIM, ISB or IIT. They can work with the faculty, because many of the faculties from renowned institutes are working very closely with the government, with the industry on projects which may not be research projects, but they can also be industry projects. And that's also one way an enthusiast can gain knowledge and also get exposure and hands-on for projects as well.
That's true, Shruti, and even I can share my experience that I'm from Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, ISER Pune, which is a central government education and research institute. And institutes like ISERs or IITs, as correctly said by Shruti, or IIMs, many professors keep on posting their internship positions as well as research associate and research assistant positions on respective pages of their institutes. Many of these positions nowadays are for data science experts. So I would like to suggest the attendees to keep an eye on such positions, and it may happen that some position which would require a blend of a particular domain, say chemistry or physics or maths and data science, and that position might be really suitable for you. That actually brings me to my next question, it happens that when candidates apply and when they are selected, shortlisted for the interview, then they are really not aware that exactly what the employers might be looking in the candidates, so that I can prepare accordingly. Many times there is some kind of mind block or a little fear. Even if I go to interview, I may get afraid of that, what employers may ask me. So what might be the tips would you like to suggest, and what things the employers might be looking in at the candidates while hiring them? So I think we can begin with Mayura. Mayura, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Suggest we look into two levels. Let's say we are hiring for a junior level, right? So even though the candidate may not have the complete experience into different models and so on, but what we are looking for is an approach. We are looking for a problem solving approach. We're looking for an adaptability and continuous learning mindset, which helps that candidate. So which helps us also further in grooming that candidate. So that is the expectation that we are looking for at a junior level. But while we are hiring at a senior level, what we are looking for is that person to act as a solution architect, you can say, where that person is able to connect to the domain, understand the domain, convey the requirements to the team, so that collaborate with the teams with a different experience, so data engineering team, data science team, and so on, and so build up the solution. So when we are hiring at a senior level, there are different expectations. One thing I would like to clearly indicate here is that even though a candidate is applying for a position and the position demands many more skill sets, but definitely I think the organizations are flexible, where we see the approach. We see that even a one particular problem, how that person has navigated through it, how is it solved, is it really personal experience that person brings into the table, and then we are flexible in hiring the candidate. So that's, I think that's what we generally look for.
Yeah. Shivani, what would you like to add to this, that while employing the candidates, what you actually look for in them when you select candidates for data scientist or data science expert positions?
So we basically check for what expertise the candidate has. So say somebody who is already coming from a data science background, we basically check how good he is in basics and how exactly he approaches a problem. So generally, how a problem. So say if a customer has a problem, we should have the ability to understand what are exact pain points of the customer and how exactly we can formulate the use cases out of it. So we also check on this capability if a person has that thinking ability, and then we also check if the attitude of the person. The person should have that positive attitude towards learning, because there is no single day. I'm sure everybody would agree with me that. Even being in this field for so many years, that you have to keep learning and keep upskilling. So these are the basic things we look for.
Yeah. So the next question is related to some of the questions asked by the attendees. Is that if I apply to your company and if I get rejected, then what might be the procedure from your company that I can reapply after say 3 months or 6 months or 1 year, and how should I get self-evaluated before applying to your company again? And this question is for all of you. So I would like everyone to share their thoughts and the procedures from their respective companies. So Shivani, you can continue, and then we can go to the next panelist.
Sure. So I think in IBM, the time is 6 months between the two interviews. And how you can, so basically after your interview is gone, you might get an idea on, what was lacking. Whether you were asked too many basic questions and you were not able to answer the questions on the basics, or there was a question asked about your experience that you've not done enough projects. So based on whatever feedback you have, you can even ask the interviewer if they have a feedback to share. Based on this takeaway, maybe you can focus on that area. So say if you were asked too many questions in the basics and you felt that your foundation was not correct, then I think it's the time that you start building the foundation. And say if there was a feedback given that you don't have enough projects, then what you could do is, in absence of an internship or maybe you were working on something else, what you could do is you could go to these open data sets and pick up some projects of your choice and try and frame some use cases on these and try to add them to your CV. I think that can help.
So at IBM, is there any possibility that someone gets rejected, but can he or she apply after say 6 months or 1 year? Is it allowed?
I think after 6 months it's allowed.
Okay. And Juhi, what you would like to suggest here for prognostics? Are there any such policies that a person, if somehow gets rejected, can reapply after say a few months?
Yeah, absolutely, we do. So we similar to, I think, IBM. We have similar policy of they can apply again after 6 months. Um, the major reason a person would not get either an internship or a job with us is if we feel there is a lack of build up on that. So that's the skill set we want to look for, and if that's something if we cannot establish that, then we definitely will not go with that candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayura, the same question.
They have learned from their previous interview what were the gaps. They have done the retrospective and then come back. Eaton definitely has our interview process is two ways. One is definitely technical interviews where we have more technical discussion. At the same time, we also have competencies or behavioral questions, and we do maintain all the information. And even if the candidate is replying back, and if whatever were the learnings in the previous interview, we may go refer back, and if the candidate has improved upon it, there is a fair chance that they can come back to company.
Yeah. Hima, would you like to share the policies which are with AI, with iCertis?
Sure. So, just like I think as per industry standards, we also have like you can reapply in 6 months at iCertis if somehow you gets rejected. What we do usually is that initially we have a briefing round where we make the candidate comfortable and we explain them the GD and the position, and just make sure they are also comfortable apply they're also comfortable moving forward to other rounds of interview, so that both the parties are comfortable. Then it comes to a technical test and a couple of technical rounds involving telephonic and video calls, and as well as coding round. After that, if a candidate passes through these rounds, then we have senior level rounds where we focuses on our roots. So our roots are forte, where we focus on fairness, openness, respect, teamwork, and execution. Because all of us at iCertis, we live these values. So at any stage, if a candidate gets rejected, and then yes, we also in the end of the whole hiring process, we also have a feedback round where we have an open discussion with a candidate, where we ask for the interview process feedback as well, and also we discuss that we discuss about the whole interview process, and the candidate can definitely work on those areas and definitely apply back in 6 months. I think that's the process in brief.
Yeah. I think as per the standards, most of the companies would definitely allow candidates to reapply after 6 months, and they would definitely consider them for the next interview as fresh candidates. Gayatri, would you like to share the policy from your company about this? Can someone reapply if got rejected at first time, and can reapply after say 6 months?
Yes, actually, for my company, there is some policies like if they are rejected, then they can apply after 6 months. But in that 6 months, they can improve the things like they can find the reason why they are rejected, and in the interview, if there's some basics and whatever the things, if they are not clear, then they should learn. And also the one more way is they can work on some simple projects, and they can put it on GitHub for particular language. So in the next interview, they have some chance to showcase their skills. So that's way they can try.
Yeah.
Good
to know. Toshika and Shruti, I think you also can share very good thoughts about the candidates who are really got somewhat demotivation if they got rejected, and it happens with everyone, but they want to upskill and reskill and then want to apply again, maybe in the same company, then what might be your suggestions and recommendations to them?
See, if a particular candidate has not been able to make it in the first go, then he really needs to introspect where exactly he has gone wrong. He needs to work on certain areas. If he has not been able to answer certain questions on machine learning, or he's not been able to understand a problem statement that was given to him, then he needs to work in that particular area where he can improve himself. Now the question is how he can work. So as I again said, the person can then take up some internship, or he can work on projects. He can go to Kaggle where there are multiple problem statements available. The person can also on Coursera also he can find multiple materials where he can work on. So there are different ways and means in which a person can upskill himself or herself, and then reapply for that particular position. So we at ISB do recruit data scientists as well as business analysts, but we do not have a period gap of 6 months. So even if he's not able to make it in the first go, when the next time the opening comes in, he or she can again reapply as well. So there's no wait period at our organization for the 6 months time period.
Yeah. I think Toshika, you can also share your thoughts about this.
First of all, I'd like to say that even if you don't get through in the first pass, there is no reason to get demotivated. Take it as a chance to improve yourself. I'm sure you learn new things. So the reason why we have a gap of 6 months in our company is that you need at least that much time to prepare yourself. Definitely, you would know where you were lacking. You need to understand that where what knowledge is missing right now that you were not able to get through. Then like if the candidate is trying to learn not into programming, then he can pick up programming skills. If he's failing into probability and statistics, he can work on his basics, right? And then he can do projects on platforms like Kaggle, and then he can build his skill sets around it. And if the person does not have knowledge about data analysis and statistics, then he can pick up MOOC courses and do dummy projects and then reapply. I'm sure he would be able to get through the next time.
Yeah, that's true. I would like to suggest the candidates a few things, that as our panelists are suggesting, there is no reason to get demotivated if rejection comes to your way. There is definitely some or the other way to find out that what was lacking in my interview or in overall evaluation process, and then how I can overcome and how I can fill the gaps to make myself again a suitable and a potentially strong candidate for the position for which I'm applying. I can suggest some strategy like this. For every project or for every event, we categorize the things in 3 different categories. First is what was good, second is what went wrong, and third is what can be continued. So I think same kind of strategy can be followed to evaluate evaluate yourself, or for self-assessment, that in interview or in written exam or in aptitude test, whatever type of evaluation process you are going through, afterwards you can self-assess yourself by categorizing your performance into these 3 categories. What was good? That okay, I did very good in aptitude test, or I did very good in such and such kind of questions in my interview. What went terribly wrong? That for example, in aptitude, say in particular type of questions I could not perform well, so I need to focus on those so that next time I will get at least basic some questions answered correctly. And then what can be continued? I mean, what was okay or intermediate, I can of course definitely improve. There is always a room for improvement in every domain, but something which was at intermediate level, that can be continued and brushed. something which was terribly wrong, I have to give more time and efforts to improve in that. And what was good, which I have to consider myself as good in that area, but of course keep being good in that area. So that might be suggestion from my side to the candidates for this question. It is observed that many students have completed online courses, but not simply going through online courses might be sufficient actually for them. We discussed that going through internships might be a very good way to get actual hands-on experience and a professional working experience before actually launching the career. We are almost at the end of our time. I would like to take only last 2-3 questions, which are really important and relevant. The attendees are coming from diverse domains. Some of them are coming from finance domain. Some of them are coming from a very different domain like international tourism, international trade. So I'd like to send this question to all the panelists, whoever is willing to answer this question, that if someone wants to do career in data science in the domain of, say, international tourism and international trade, how he or she can find a good career opportunity in this field, and equally for someone coming from finance domain. So who would like to answer this question? This is really an interesting question.
I'll take that question, Aparna. There are two ways. Once, if a person is working, for example, in a banking sector, and he or she has been able to procure the knowledge of data science, so one way is he look for opportunities in his own organization in the domain of data science, because many banking banks or financial institutions have their own business analyst and data science team or departments as well. So one way is he can look for opportunities after upskilling in his own organization. If not in his own organization, he can then try to look for opportunities in other banks or the financial institutions as well. So that can be one way. But as I said, first, it's very important for him that he is able to acquire the knowledge that's necessary to become a financial analyst or an analyst in trade or travel and tourism sector.
Yeah, really good to know. Anyone would like to add to this?
Yeah, actually, from my side, so there are some mechanical engineer or some persons from the other domain, but everyone, as I said, everyone can work here as a data scientist, because we should need to understand the profession of data scientist. Like they just play around the data, they analyze that data, they create the feature engineering, and at the last stage they just think about how we can use this data for the real problem solutions. So this is all about we can do if we do the courses from the from the Coursera or Udemy, and again overall the data we get from the different domain. Like for example, some project we get the data from the pharma, we get the data from the mechanicals. Like I will tell you one short example. The some client requirement is predict the APS system in the car or in the truck. APS like air pressure system, and this data is comes from mechanical department. Like, so for that point of view, we all are the computer engineers, so we didn't thought like how we can do this problem. So there are some different domains, and we should work as a domain wise. So here is nothing like the persons need from the computer domain or IT domain. So everyone can work here if they learn the cycle of machine learning.
Yeah, that is really good to know and very motivating.
Yes.
almost, someone wanted to add something. I missed something. Yeah, okay. So we are almost at the end of our session. Last point that I would like to ask to all the panelists, the very important question, and it is for all the panelists, that is your company hiring now? Because we have seen that because of the COVID year, many companies have freezed some positions and stopped hiring process. But many of them are again resuming the hiring processes. So the question is your company hiring, and is your company is also willing to hire the people who got some break in career due to some personal reasons? So this question is for all. We can start with say Gayatri, you are already there on the screen, so you can answer this question, and then we can pass the same question to all the other panelists. So is your company hiring, and is your company willing to hire people who got some break in their career due to some personal reason?
So currently at the Indian School of Business, yes, we are hiring business analysts and data scientists. Any participants who are attending this particular event and feel they would like to be associated with ISB, feel free to apply. And the second question, which was that do we take participants if they are have a break in their career? Yes, we do consider participants also. We give opportunities to participants also if they have any career break as well, because at ISB we believe in that they can join in, they can upskill themselves at ISB as well, because we have faculties from across the world, some of the best faculties associated at ISB. So it's a temple of knowledge and research. So please feel free to approach us if you would like to make your career with ISB.
Yeah. Juhi, would you like to go next? That is your company hiring and also willing to hire people with break?
Absolutely. So, being a startup, I think we are always looking for people, with AI experience or freshers with AI knowledge. And for us, it doesn't matter if they are freshers or they are highly experienced, or they come with a break in between. What matters to us is what do they bring kind of to the table? What are they able to add to us?
Yeah. Mayura, would you like to say something that if Eaton is hiring and is also willing to take people who got some break?
Right. Yeah, before I start, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay. So I think just to give you background about Eaton, right? Eaton is a product intelligent power management company, we call it as, right? So we have our products going into multiple domains. So you can see that we have been working as a data science organization on engineering as well as non-engineering, which is operational data. So we are actively hiring for the positions of data scientists, data engineers, where we would wish this candidate to bring in innovation in our existing products and services, as well as bring in innovation into building up new products and new domains, explore new domains. So definitely we are hiring, and we have open positions now posted on LinkedIn and so on. So whoever is willing to join is welcome. Another thing is having one important part I would just like to mention, connected to your earlier questions, is that if someone is from core domain like mechanical engineer, electronics engineer, and so on, electrical engineer, say for example, and would like to have data science attached to their domain expertise, and would like to make their career in that, Eaton welcomes, because Eaton works very closely with these domains, and then we have seen that these kind of candidates actually bring in a lot of value to the company. So you are welcome that way. And the other aspect, having a break in the career for whatever reason, right? So we definitely welcome. And one of the important policies that I would like to mention here is that on the occasion of International Women's Day here, that we had a program named as, I think, a Restart, where we we had special screening and special interview that happened, and even referrals that was happening for women engineers who had career break because of family reasons or whatever, right? So Eaton had been supporting that initiative also largely. So yeah, I think that way, I think Eaton is very open and people friendly organization to welcome you.
Yeah, it's really good to know. Hima, would you like to go next about telling whether there are ICERTs is hiring, and if there are?
Yes. Yes, we are hiring. In fact, during the pandemic, also we were hiring. Our growth has been like exponentially in terms of hiring people. So currently, we are hiring in AIML and data science team. We are hiring for architect, associate architect, and principal architect. So usually the job profile of these candidate would be approx 10 to 12 years of overall experience with around 4 to 5 years of AIML and data science experience. To come to the another aspect of whether we hire people who has gaps due to any particular reason. So yes, we are very open to such candidates, and yes, we definitely welcome those candidates who has who have gaps due to any reasons, and also especially women who had to take gaps due to certain priorities and family responsibilities. So we definitely welcome them, and yes, we're actively hiring right now. So you can go to our website and check out different positions.
It's really good to know. Shivani, I think you can also tell about whether IBM is hiring.
Well, yes, IBM is also hiring, and we are hiring data scientists, ML engineers, data engineers. And coming to the question on openness to accept people who have breaks in career, IBM is very open and very supportive of women who have had breaks in career, and they welcome them to join back and have a second innings.
It's really good to know. Gayatri, can you tell about whether Synergip is hiring?
Yeah. So actually, currently we are hiring for data scientists, as well as the expertise in machine learning and natural language processing, as well as if there are some freshers, and if they have some basic background for ML and NLP, they can try for the entry level. So right now the situation is this for hiring. And Synergip is very support for the women, as well as if the candidate have some gap because of some reasons, then they are always welcome.
Yeah, it's really good to know.
Yeah.
Toshika, would you like to go telling us about aspiring minds, hiring policies and positions?
So, break in career is definitely not an issue for our team, as long as those people are updated as per the company requirement, and they've got good knowledge of statistics, ML, and the basics of data science. So, definitely COVID has impacted us, but we are still looking for good interns as well as good data scientists. And we never miss on good talent. And since we are an assessment firm ourselves, we understand the importance of hiring and talent acquisition for developing some of the cool products that we have been working on in this domain. And we have a very young and vibrant team. And we would love to hire freshers who are keen to work on the new DS problems and build new assessments for other companies to hire.
It's really good to know. We are almost at now the end of our panel discussion. Let me thank all the panelists for the wonderful discussion, wonderful insights and recommendations that they have shared with us, and with all the. And I also would like to thank all the attendees for pouring so many interesting questions. And I'm sure there might be still few more questions which they want to ask, so they can reach to WITS Pune through various media and share their questions. And I also like to, it's my duty to apologize to all for some technical hindrances, but I think all are very considerate panelists and attendees that they consider that there are some technical issues always going on. Believe me, our team of volunteers and whole organizing team had not slept since last 1 week and working days and nights without taking any breaks or so to make this event a great success. I thank all of them, all the attendees and all the panelists for all these insights and recommendations and suggestions to the attendees for hiring trends in data science. I'd like to end this panel discussion on a very positive note that even if there are some issues, there are global issues like pandemic or so, then there are personal issues. Everyone is having some or the other issues in career or in education. There might be some breaks and there might be some personal problems, but there are always good opportunities in various kinds of domains, in various industries, in education, in research. And yes, there is something somewhere which is always waiting for you, and you need to find the path to reach to that goal. And it may not be the end of the journey, but it is actually beginning of the journey, and learning is lifelong. So let us enjoy this journey of lifelong learning and a beautiful career in data science. So here I wish all of you a very happy International Women's Day, and I hand over the control to my co-host to conclude the session. Over to you, Vaidehi. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sucheta here. Thanks for the panel discussion. Thanks for everyone who joined. We get a lot of queries on, hiring from employers as well as, our community. And we always see that, what value we can give to the community. And the objective of this session was it will help, community to understand what are the expectations of the employers and what all they can do to clear the interviews in all the good companies like yours. And I hope they have got some tips and tricks about the expectations, how they should prepare, and they will be able to go to the next level in their journey. And with this, this was our panel discussion of track 2. As you all know, this is a 24 hours live conference right from Stanford straight. There's a telecast, 24 hours telecast going on with world-class speakers and thought leaders and industry experts on track 1. It's an amazing effort by Stanford. They are alive whole night. They are awake whole night and alive also. And we request all the audience to, take the benefit of the track 1 sessions. And we have networking area. I hope all the panelists will be available in the, lounge for some time, for 10 to 15 minutes at least. If, our audience have more questions. Tables 1 to 5, meet the speakers, are reserved for all the panelists. So please go to the lounge, wait there for some time, and people would want to meet you and know you personally. You can have a live one-on-one chat with our audience. So audience, the panelists are available in table 1 to 5. Go and trace them and have one-on-one discussions with them, build with them, connect with them. If you have specific queries or guidance, you can ask them. And then there are mentors available on Meet the Mentors table. Refer to their schedule on the WITS page. And then we also have the booth where all the companies were announcing the details and other things. The most important part is the self-assessment test, which is being sponsored by a knowledge partner, Aspiring Mind and Hit Bullseye. Please go and enroll on the Aspiring Mind booth in the arena area, and you will get the login details. For Hit Bullseye, you can go to BITS Pune website. On the home page, there is a participate section. Scroll down a bit, there's a participate section. There, there are 2 buttons to enroll for Hit Bullseye and Aspiring Mind test. The test will be open for next 3 days, today and 9th and 10th. And the results will be announced on 11th. This is a very good opportunity. Please make best use of this opportunity. I think self-assessment is the best way to reflect and understand, what are our strengths and weaknesses. Many times, we have a lot of unknown things, and we come to know more about ourselves through this test. So please make best use of this. This was all planned to design to give you value. We take a lot of efforts, to make this happen. As you all know, this is a pro bono activity. All the people working on this conference are volunteers. We are all data science enthusiasts. They all volunteers work for whole day. They attend their school, colleges, and they stretch and they do this volunteering work because they enjoy. And in WITS Pune, we have two principles: the joy of doing and the joy of giving. So they give their lot of their time, they give their efforts, and and learn and also gain experience from WITS. All the work of this conference, right from website development to design, graphics, marketing, digital marketing, automation, emailing, everything is done by volunteers. Everything is done by our volunteers. And that is the biggest, thing I'm proud of. It's a real community spirit and, community learning. And we have come a long way in last 3 years. This is our 3rd year. And we are very happy that this was successful, because this was a very different experience for us to do it on an online platform. But we are very happy. We got very good response and feedback from all the audience, our sponsors, our mentors and speakers. They were very happy with everything that was organized. So thanks again for everyone who joined. Thanks to all the speakers who have given their time to come here and speak and given the time for preparation. And we would request all the participants to continue attending the conference and continue attending the track 1, continue networking, meet like-minded people, go to the booth. And most important thing is, don't miss the self-assessment test. It's a very good opportunity. Please don't miss that. And continue staying in touch with us. We are available here. We are all responding on chat messages. We had 24 hours control room set up straight from Synergip office in Pune. We had special control rooms for arena, for booth. We had control room for mentors. We had control room for air meet support. And we had the control room for track 1 and 2. It was a significant effort. And, in this lockdown, despite more restrictions in Pune, volunteers came together and they have really worked hard. We all have not slept for 4-5 days. And now today we are going to get a good sleep after we conclude. So thank you so much for joining. Keep in touch with us. We are going to do more programs. We are announcing, a mentor-mentee program. With this, we kicked this off in the conference. So continue staying in touch with us. Yes, all these companies are hiring, Shruti Mishra. All these companies have openings. There are internship openings. All the companies are hiring. Please visit the booth, understand the openings, understand their hiring standards, and make best use of this. Okay. Thank you so much. There is some question for Mayura. Wanted to know what qualities Eton look for when they are hiring someone from domain knowledge plus data analytics. Okay. And the IBM also is answered. Okay, so I think we request the speakers to go to the backstage. Sorry, not backstage. Go through the mentoring lounge and just be there for some time and see if audience wants to connect with you personally. Thank you so much, and please continue with the remaining part of the conference. Bye-bye.
Sure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.